Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "Call yourselves to account before you are called to account, and weigh yourselves before you are weighed, as calling yourselves to account today will make it easier for you when you are called to account tomorrow. And be adorned for the great appearance. That day shall you be brought to judgment, and not a secret of you will be hidden." Some of us may call themselves to account in a harsh way, while others may not bring themselves to account at all. Or more accurately, maybe we all do call ourselves to account harshly at times, and at other times we don't call ourselves to account at all. But when the judgment is harsh, when we call ourselves to account, it makes us despair, feel shame, and feel unworthy, or be depressed, or have an anxiety. And when we neglect bringing ourselves to account, it also does not help us at all to grow and thrive. So, is there a way in the middle by which we can assess ourselves, be responsible and accountable for our actions in a compassionate yet productive way? There is a poem by Khalil Gibran that illustrates this way, in my view. He says, "Then one of the judges of the city stood forth, said, 'Speak to us on crime and judgment.' And the prophet, or the wise one, answered, saying, 'It is when your spirit goes wandering upon the wind, that you alone and unguarded commit a wrong unto others, and therefore unto yourself. And for that wrong committed must you knock and wait a while unheeded at the gate of the blessed. Like the ocean is your godly self, it remains forever undefiled. And like the ether, it lifts but the wing. Even like the sun is your godly self, it knows not the ways of the mole, nor speaks it the holes of the serpent. But your godly self dwells not alone in your being. Much in you is still a human being, and much in you is not yet a human being, but a shapeless bigamy that walks asleep in the mist, searching for its own awakening. And of the human being in you would I now speak, for it is he and not your godly self, nor the bigamy in the mist that knows crime and the punishment of crime. Oftentimes have I heard you speak of one who commits a wrong as though he were not one of you, but a stranger unto you and an intruder upon your world. But I say that even as the holy and the righteous cannot rise beyond the highest which is in each one of you, so the wicked and the weak cannot fall lower than the lowest which is in you also. And as a single leaf turns not yellow, but with the silent knowledge of the whole tree, so the wrongdoer cannot do wrong without the hidden will of you all. Like a procession, you walk together towards your godly self. You are the way and the wayfarers. And when one of you falls down, he falls for those behind him, a caution against the stumbling stone. And he falls for those ahead of him, who though faster and surer of foot, yet removed not the stumbling stone. And this also, though the word lie heavy upon your hearts. The murderer is not unaccountable for his own murder, and the robbed is not blameless in being robbed. The righteousness is not innocent of the deeds of the wicked, and the white-handed is not clean in the doing of the felon. The guilty is oftentimes the victim of the injured, and still more often the condemned is the burden bearer for the guiltless and unblamed. You cannot separate the just from the unjust and the good from the wicked, for they stand together before the face of the sun, even as the black thread and the white are woven together. And when the black thread breaks, the weaver shall look into the whole cloth, and he shall examine the loom also. If any of you would bring to judgment the unfaithful wife, let him also weigh the heart of her husband in scales, and measure his soul with measurements. And let him who would lash the offender look unto the spirit of the offended. And if any of you would punish in the name of righteousness, and lay the axe unto the evil tree, let him see to its roots. And indeed he will find the roots of the good and the bad, the fruitful and the fruitless, all entwined together in the silent heart of the earth. And you judges who would be just, what judgment pronounce you upon him who, though honest in the flesh, yet is the thief in spirit? What penalty lay you upon him who slays in the flesh, yet in himself is slain in the spirit? And how prosecute you him who in action is a deceiver and an oppressor, yet who also is aggrieved and outraged? And how shall you punish those whose remorse is already greater than misdeed? Is not remorse the justice which is administered by that very law which you would fain serve? Yet you cannot lay remorse upon the innocent, nor lift it from the heart of the guilty. Unbidden shall it call in the night, that men may wake and gaze upon themselves. And you who would understand justice, how shall you, unless you look upon all deeds in the fullness of light? Only then shall you know that the erect and the fallen are but one man standing in twilight between the night of his bigamy self and the day of his godly self, and that the cornerstone of the temple is not higher than the lowest stone in its foundation. This beautiful and thought-provoking poem by Khalil Gibran delves deeply into the concept of accountability and crime or error and punishment, urging individuals to approach these matters with compassion and understanding. We are all deeply influenced by our past experiences and the cultural norms that surround us. Exploring our heritage and acknowledging how our history has molded us, guiding our behaviors and beliefs, can be a transformative journey of introspection and comprehension. This process invites us to assess our actions and reactions with a lens of understanding rather than harsh judgment, rather than burdening ourselves with feelings of shame, guilt, remorse, depression, and anxiety stemming from unawareness of their origins. We can endeavor to uncover the roots of these emotions, fostering healing and growth. Compassionate assessments can make us have real knowledge of our strengths and our weaknesses, and be willing to embrace our weaknesses as areas of growing edges and potentials. that lies dormant within us, so we can treat it with compassion and nurturing ways. Calling ourselves to account in that ways means we can also be called to forgiveness.